Well, to this story, almost 400 people have died and many are still missing in KwaZulu-Natal. Thousands have been left destitute. Gift of the Givers has been providing some relief, and for more on this, we're joined now by its founder, Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman. Dr. Imtiaz, thank you so much for your time this morning. I know that yesterday we had reported how it was very difficult for Gift of the Givers to actually send some aid simply because of some parts of KZN being inaccessible. As you and I are having a conversation this morning, what has been the word on the ground regarding exactly the situation that Gift of the Givers is dealing with?
Now, there's two aspects here, Faith. That in terms of the aid, the material aid, in terms of water, blankets, food, medicine, food, clothing, all that's going fine. We've reached many more areas than the first day. Tuesday was tough. We couldn't get to many areas because the roads were inaccessible. From Wednesday onwards, it was easier to get in. But the problem is it takes too long, because less roads are being used and more cars are using those less available roads. So everything that should take half an hour takes 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and it takes a long time to get to different areas, because we're distributing from Umdloti right up to Port Shepstone and inwards towards Maritzburg. So it's a lot of areas to cover. You have to go in. The roads are muddy. You can't use big trucks. You have to use smaller trucks. But in spite of all that, that part has been going fairly well. Yesterday, we got feedback from the city council, city manager in Devon itself. There is an area near Inanda, in the Thousand Valleys, which has been completely cut off. There's no access road. All the roads in every direction are cut off, and people have been stranded there since Monday. You can't get any items in. A helicopter had to go in on Tuesday or Wednesday to take some of the injured out and actually to take some of the deceased out. They've asked for assistance to get food into the area. We offered them last night to bring as many helicopters as they want, and we'll fill all those helicopters with supplies to take to those areas. So depending on the weather today and depending on the availability of helicopters, we will then send items to that area in the Thousand Valley. The second part that has been difficult is not only for us. Gift of the Givers has combined what KZN Provincial Disaster Management, what Western Cape Disaster Management, and together the teams are doing search and recovery. There is no rescue. The recovery is becoming difficult again, with lots of mud in the different areas, lots of rubble. So that and the rain, that's becoming a difficult process. And from your introduction, we're probably going to reach close to 500 people passed on. Because yesterday, we sent out a message to say, to assist us find missing people, it'll be just more easier if people in the area let us know where people are missing. And we were flooded with messages of missing people. One person wrote in and said, I lost 10 members of my family. We found 4. If we found 6, 4 are still missing. Somebody else would say 5 missing, 4 missing, 3 missing, 2 missing, child missing, adult missing, granny missing. And those messages are still coming in. And the strange part is that most of those messages are from Inanda and Mulveni. It seems a lot of life has been lost in Inanda and Mulveni for some reason.
Yeah. Dr. Imtiaz, as you're speaking about how this is no longer a search and rescue, this is now a search and recovery. From a resourcing perspective, how are you guys faring? Because as you're saying, you've got, widespread areas to reach, people needing resources. I think the big thing right now is that several parts of KZN don't even have electricity. So there's no electricity, there's no water. One can only imagine the kind of realities that are being faced by people on the ground that are living in those kinds of conditions. So from just resourcing, from capacity, how's the Gift of the Givers doing? I don't know how many times you guys get asked, how are you guys actually?
No, we're quite fine. We've been doing this for 30 years. And, we handle several disasters at the same time. With this disaster coming, none of our other projects have stopped. We've got this intervention in several countries. We're also involved in the Ukraine right now with a disaster there. So in several countries, we've been involved in hospital upgrades, we're involved with catch-up surgery, we're involved with malnutrition in Eastern Cape, we're involved in the floods. Eastern Cape got hit by the floods 3 days ago. We intervened there. We're busy with the fires in Langa this morning. So we are in every place. Our people are quite adept at doing this kind of stuff. In terms of resource, we have our own equipment, but the advantage is because we've combined, KZN Provincial Department has asked for assistance. They got their people. Western Cape came with a contingent. We came with our contingent. In fact, there's 4 more people, 5 more coming from Limpopo today, and 17 coming from Free State. So, and then, of course, the police services, K9 made their teams available. So there's almost 6 or 7 teams, and there's probably going to be close to 100 personnel available. And if needs be, we can bring in more. We've got equipment. They've got equipment. Of course, the heavy equipment we have to get or hire in the different areas. So there is a lot of personnel These smaller equipment that's required, that is personal carry. The bigger equipment will have to be hired if necessary. The other resource is the community members I found are very willing to join rescue teams and assist with digging, give them a spade. They're just so willing. There's such a spirit of Ubuntu. And they've been doing it even before anybody got to them. So we have the resource of so many community members available, to do that. And the one other point you mentioned about water, there's been a huge demand for water. As you know, the water purification plants have been damaged. So besides providing water to flood-affected victims, there's also requests just from people who haven't been affected and having it difficult to find water because it's a long weekend. The manufacturers have not been working, and there's no availability in the shops, so you can't buy it. So we've managed to get quite a bit of bottled water and put in different areas, but the demand is huge for that, and we hope the water plants get fixed up very soon.
Yeah, we're all hoping that there's some kind of recalibration and that water plants actually gets fixed up soon. But just in terms of looking at how is it that we as a South African community can actually assist in this regard? Because I mean, as you're saying that you're dealing with situations where people are trying to recover their loved ones. One can only imagine the type of trauma that somebody has to go through in order for them to recover a child, a nephew, a niece, a mother, a father in this situation without the resources, without water, without electricity, having lost their livelihoods. And some of us are looking at it from our Hyde Park studios and thinking, I can't even begin to imagine, but I would like to jump on board and help. How does the rest of the South African community actually assist in this regard?
I think that the South African community response to the people who have been affected. In the beginning, the focus was on the infrastructure. The road is damaged, the buildings have fallen down, there's containers on the road, things are moving around, the substations is not working, the water plant's not working. A lot of focus was on what was visible, you could see. You can't see emotions. You can't see pain and you can't see anguish. And those people, their solace was, their first solace was their neighbors. I must say, the community members who came to those homes and supported them just stood up. It was one unified South Africa. That was a huge form of solace and support for those people. Then when the outsiders came, whether community members or somebody bringing aid to them, and then the search and rescue teams coming or just rescuers coming, all those was a solace. And of course, South African people are generally very aware of what's going on in the country. And they know the type of campaigns that are going on all over the country to support them. That has given them a lot of hope. And yes, if we can't bring back those that have passed on, and we can help with material possessions. So when they put up in a hall, when they're given food stuff, when they're given something to eat, they know they're not left alone. Their biggest share now is going to be that when they leave that hall, do they go back to a functioning house or do they go back to a house at all? And that's the next phase where people have lost their informals in their homes, in informal settlements, when building material is provided. The good thing is, or the honorable thing about informal settlement people is they don't ask so much. You just give them a little bit of building material, a food parcel, and maybe a hygiene pack. It's like you gave the world to them. They're always content with little. And so if the little you give them, they will go back to how they were the day before the floods. And that's the next phase. Once they need assistance with building material, that's where South Africans can support, give them a food parcel and get them back in their homes. And then the other two parts will be kids who live in those camps, who've lost all their stationery, their school bag and uniforms. We need to replace that. And finally, some of the schools have been damaged and we have to look at infrastructure repair because we don't want to keep sitting at home. We've lost 2 years already with COVID. We just cannot afford to lose any more teaching time.
We definitely hear you, Dr. Imtiaz, and I'm sure that your message has reached far and wide in that regard. Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, who is the chairman and the founder of A Gift of the Givers, just painting us a picture in terms of exactly what are things looking like on the ground, where we're trying to even provide these search and recovery. It's no longer a search and rescue as we're hearing there. And of course, if you can assist, we'll keep having those bank details at the bottom of your screen so that you are able to donate any amount to this cause and to the people that have been left destitute in KwaZulu-Natal. As I speak to you right now, those are the details and the banking details. Just simply make any donation of any amount. I think that any donation will go a long way. Well, still ahead for you.